Here is the word most used in all of Christianity that almost nobody can clearly define. Holy. You have sung it, you have prayed it, you have heard it in sermons your whole life. The Holy Spirit, the Holy Bible, Holy Communion, holy is everywhere. So what does it actually mean? Most people would say something like morally pure, set apart from sin, untouchable in a religious sort of way, and that is not entirely wrong, but it is dramatically incomplete because the biblical meaning of holy is far stranger and far more beautiful than most people realize. So let us start with the word itself. In Hebrew, the word for holy is Kadosh, and its primary meaning is not morally perfect. It means set apart, distinct, belonging to a different category entirely. To call something holy is to say that it operates by a different set of rules than everything else around it. It is other, unique, unlike anything else in existence. This is why God is described as holy above all things, not just because he is morally perfect, though he is, but because he is utterly unlike anything else in existence. He is the original, the one of a kind, the source of everything else. Holiness is first and foremost about otherness. And once you understand that, everything about how the Bible talks about holiness changes. Let us go back to one of the most dramatic moments in the entire Old Testament. Isaiah chapter 6. The prophet Isaiah has a vision. He sees the throne of God, high and exalted, and the train of God's robe fills the entire temple. Above the throne are angelic creatures called seraphim, and they are calling to one another without stopping, holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. 3 times, holy, repeated 3 times. In Hebrew literature, repetition signals intensity. Saying something twice emphasizes it. Saying it 3 times means this is the most fundamental thing that can be said. There is nothing beyond this. Holy, holy, holy is the Hebrew way of saying maximally, overwhelmingly, completely holy. And what happens to Isaiah when he encounters this holiness? He collapses. He cries out that he is ruined, that he is a man of unclean lips, not because he has suddenly remembered a list of sins, but because he has come into contact with something so other, so completely in a different category from everything he has ever experienced, that his whole frame of reference shatters. God's holiness in the Bible is not a polite religious quality. It is overwhelming, consuming, dangerously beautiful. It is the reality that makes everything else look small. But here is what most people miss. In the Bible, holiness is not just a quality that God has. It is a reality that he shares. Holiness spreads. When God speaks to Moses from the burning bush, he tells Moses to take off his sandals. Why? Because the ground he is standing on is holy ground. The presence of God has touched it, and now it belongs to a different category. When God descends on Mount Sinai, the whole mountain becomes holy. The people are told not to touch it, not because it is dangerous in itself, but because the presence of God has made it other. When God's presence fills the tabernacle and later the temple, the objects inside become holy. The priests who serve there live by a different set of rules because they are operating in holy space. So holiness does not just describe what God is, it describes what happens when God shows up. And this leads to the most important question. What does it mean when God calls his people to be holy? God tells Israel, "You shall be holy, because I, the Lord your God, am holy." Most people read this as a moral command. Be morally pure, do not sin. And while that is part of what it means, the deeper call is something else entirely. Israel is called to be holy, to be set apart, not to be morally superior to other nations, but to be distinctly shaped by God's character, to reflect who He is into the world around them, to be the place in the world where God's otherness becomes visible to everyone else. Holiness is a calling, not just a description. And this calling, this invitation to reflect God's character into the world, it does not end with Israel. Now stop and think about what happens in the New Testament. Jesus promises His followers that the Holy Spirit will come and dwell inside them, not beside them, not above them, inside them. This is the same holiness that overwhelmed Isaiah, the same presence that made the ground around the burning bush other, the same glory that filled the tabernacle and the temple. That presence now lives inside human beings, which means the people of God are the new temple, the place in the world where God's holiness dwells. Not a building, not a location, people. Holy is not a distant religious quality reserved for priests and prophets and stained glass windows. It is the closest thing in existence to you right now, and that changes everything about what it means to live as a follower of Jesus. And this is where the story gets even richer, because the idea of God's holiness dwelling in a place, filling a space, is directly connected to one of the most remarkable themes running through the entire Bible, the theme of the temple. And that is exactly where we are going next. Hey, thanks for watching. We make a lot more videos exploring the big themes and ideas that run through the entire biblical story. We believe the Bible is a unified story that leads to Jesus, and we are making tools to help people read it well. You can find more videos and free resources at The Sacred Story.